6:46 in the morning. It's the first day of spring, June 21st.
Summer.
That's what I meant to say. You are correct.
I know you did.
Thank you, Edward. Okay. First day of summer. Deb Ferns is coming in just about 15 minutes, right around football time, so it's going to get even spicier than it might get right now. So, Joe Higgins, why don't you tell me about a story that's going to make most people, a lot of people's eyes bleed when they listen to this one?
Well, apparently yesterday the mayoral race for the City of Tucson got a lot cleaner, a lot smoother, a lot easier on one Jonathan Rothschild. Looks like the Pat Darcy, the independent, has been disqualified by a superior judge, saying he didn't have the right number of signatures. Ron Asta, the Republican primary challenger, disqualified for lack of signatures. And Sean McClusky, who's been on this show many times, also disqualified for a number of signatures. So Sean actually officially was removed or got out yesterday. Pima County's recorder's office said that they have disqualified 212 of McClusky's nominating petitions. He needed 1,060, and he came in at a little over 1,100. So disqualifying 200 put him below the threshold to be correctly put on the ballot, Chris. That's your story. So we have a full-on clean shot. Jonathan Rothschild looks like we do have Mary DeCamp and Green Party Dave fighting it out on the Green Party ticket. Pretty tough for a Green Party ticket to win the big seat. So it looks like we have a new mayor anointed before the election, folks.
All right. First and foremost, I hear Sean and some of these guys, and I love Sean to death. We love Sean. Mm-hmm. We love Sean. Good supporter of the show, been part of the battle. He's the guy who single-handedly got the word out on that sales tax thing,
right,
and avoided Tucson going down that rabbit hole. But I'm going to tell you, I hear from these guys that it's Jeff Rogers' fault because he challenged it as the head of the Democrat Party. Bill Reisner was the lawyer here, right, which is the guy who challenged the RTA
vote,
stuff.
This is what you do, Chris, as a chair of a party. This is what you do. This is the process. You throw up roadblocks, you let the candidates continue to run their clean message, and you throw stuff out in the marketplace about this kind of stuff.
You are correct.
You make sure you get the turnout to vote, so you got folks that are registered to vote, you find good candidates, and you put them on the ballot, and you get out of the way, and you raise money. That's the third part. You got to be out there bringing in money to the party itself.
What I want to know for all you people, the guy who called us from the box yesterday, Darcy and Sean and his team, is what county do you think you're living in? This is Pima County, dude. This is as dirty as it gets. There is no mercy out there.
Mail-in ballots.
I mean, do you guys
endorsing in the primary as a Democrat?
Do you guys see what's going on here? What fantasy land? Is this a Bob Walkup fantasy land where you think in this county, if you need 1,061 and you get 1,100 something, that it's not going to be challenged? Where the hell are you living?
You need 3 times the number of registered votes on your signatures to get on this thing.
I mean, and the worst part is these guys started like around, Ed and I were talking, was it like the Super Bowl?
Right.
The Super Bowl.
Job number 1 is get your candidate on the ballot. So before you have your strategy meetings and planning, when I ran, first thing, I remember running into Sherry Potter. We sat down, we started working strategy. She goes, Joe, the only thing you focus on is getting your signatures to get on the ballot. That's the only thing you focus on. Don't talk about anything else. Don't talk about websites, plans, ideas, images, logos, none of that stuff. Get on the ballot.
Because it means nothing.
If you don't get on the ballot, it's all over, which we're watching right now.
And we've heard from these guys, why haven't I gotten money from the business community? Because they don't know if you're going to be on the ballot. And voila, you're not on the ballot. So giving you money would have been better off doing the trio thing I keep telling everyone, just throw it in a burning barrel of oil. So whose fault is this? It's not Jeff Rogers' fault. The guy did the job that he was supposed to, which is frustrate the hell out of the Republican Party, get his people on the ballot. I mean, they are ruthless on everybody. Look at Joe Flores. He's a Democrat. They're ruthless on him.
Right. Mail-in ballot. Remember when that got passed by the council? I mean, they are rigging it up.
If they're going to be ruthless on Joe Flores, who's a guy who's a small business guy from South 12th on his family's pharmacy, and he's running against Rahina, and they go do the preemptive, these are the people we're endorsing before we ever get close to the primary vote. What do you think they're going to do with a Republican? You know, you're going to get you a teddy bear, and you're going to do a little celestial seasoning sleepy time by the fireplace together? Now, let's get into whose responsibility is this. Number 1, it's Sean's responsibility. He's the candidate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is the people he's taking advice from. And I'm going to lay this straight on Sam Stone, who's his campaign manager's head. All right, he's Mr. 0 for 5 or whatever he is on campaigns. There's always, hopefully you're going to win one. You get a hang of this stuff or whatever. But I'm going to tell you something, dude. Blew it. You blew it, and you blew it. And then Brian Miller, Mr. Pima GOP, you want to. Our biggest thing with you and your SWAT crud is that it's distracting from what you're supposed to do. I know you want to have your emails and you want to write your Patrick Henry letters, and one day they'll be preserved at the Smithsonian or something with "In liberty" and "I'll do liberty" and "I'm going to defend your liberty" and freedom. Brian Miller has made those words like useless for me now because that's all he says. It's like having a scratch and he keeps scratching it to raw. In liberty. You can't even get a damn mayor candidate on the stinking ballot. You're not raising money. No one wants to give you money. You have a small group of activists who are people. Don't get me wrong; they're very valuable to the party because they are walking, but they didn't walk hard enough to get anyone freaking signatures. They spend 9 hours on Facebook going, "Oh my God, did you see this? Sarah Palin had a new potato chip named after her, and the Democrats are going after her." Go work! Go freaking work and get signatures. I mean, this is not easy. So Brian Miller, I know there's a group of the Republican Party that wants your head. Resign. Your first job in your first 6 months is you got a guy like McClusky, who's an activist. He's a good small business guy, had the worst people around him ever. All right? Get him on the ballot. And you couldn't do that. And I'm going to tell you, Jeff Rogers handled Brian Miller like a crippled squirrel, dude.
He just owned him. Chris, have we talked about this show over and over? It comes down to elections. It comes down. Why do you think all these games are being played at a ballot box? The mail-in, all this stuff happens because if you don't get across the line at election day, you don't sit in the seats. If you don't sit in the seats, you can't talk about how this place is run. And the same folks have run this place for 20 years, and look at the results. If you couldn't find a better time where the stars have absolutely aligned to change out the way this city is run, it's right now. You got the 51st state. You got the boycotts by what it called. We got the TUSD chaining themselves to desks. You got Rio Nuevo, which is right there in your wheelhouse. You got job creation.
Potholes.
This election is going to be about job creation. Are any of these folks at the current city council or the current guy running for mayor, Jonathan Rothschild, talking about how to get jobs created? Absolutely not. The party in power is going to be shifted in 2012 from Democrat to Republican. So you have this nationwide wave coming down on this party in the next 2 years. And we blow it by not having someone on the candidate, on the ballot.
I mean, if I'm going to find a blessing in this, it's better to find out Brian Miller sucks now than it is going into the 2012 election. And that's the other problem. So, if you're Brian Miller as the Pima GOP head, what you call it McClusky in March. Hey, how many signatures you got? I got 176. Get more. What do we need to help you? Call up a month later. How many? I got 477. Let's get more. What do I need to do? Because you can't have a guy like Sean, who's your high-profile guy, because he was so out in front and so
Prop 400,
big cojones on Prop 400, and then you just let him die. You just let him. This is where he got to. And don't get me wrong, it's Sean's fault. It's Sam Stone's fault. It's Brian Miller's fault. But the idea that after what happened last election time.
Look at that Prop 400 went down 65-35. So your electorate in Tucson is looking at the current council and going, I don't like it. And I'm going to vote against you, and I'm not going to give you more money because I don't trust you. You see this, you're firing cops, you're hiring cops, we're going to let them off, all this gamesmanship that's going on. Again, the timing was so absolutely perfect to switch this around, which goes back to my dialogue with you many times on this show lately, Chris. It's like, put the fence around it. Turn out the lights. Keep doing what you've been doing, guys. Look at how it's worked out. Just keep the same plan in place going forward.
And the problem is, I got Tyler Vogt and Jennifer running for this stuff. And they're, basically, if they want to survive, Brian Miller calls you, don't take the call. Useless. Forget about him. You don't need him. He blew it. He's not raising money. He can't get people on the ballot. Go away, Brian. You gave it a shot. Go run as the libertarian CD8, whatever you want to do. Go do it. Stop wasting our time. And if you use the word liberty and freedom 9 times in an email again, my eyes are going to bleed. 790-2040. Let's go to bill number 1.